Okay, welcome to this short video about how to build the powertrain for a solar-powered model boat. This video has been created as part of the Macau Solar Challenge and with the support from our sponsors. Okay, if you look here, I have all the parts in a kit for a solar-powered boat. We have the drive shaft and the casing that goes around the drive shaft, the motor, the propeller, 3 small pieces that join different parts together and hold the propeller in place, and grub screws which are used to hold these pieces onto the shaft. And finally we use an Allen key to assemble everything, and that comes as part of the kit. You start with the drive shaft, and here there's a little round locking nut that goes on the end of the drive shaft. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a grub screw on the end of the Allen key, and I've got the little piece sitting on the end of the drive shaft. And then you just fit the grub screw into the piece and tighten it up. Okay, so I've got one of them in, just like that, and then I've got to get the other one. It's a bit tricky sometimes to get the grub screws into the end of the Allen key, but you get the hang of it after a while. Hiya! Take the glasses off. Okay. Now, you tighten up the grub screws so that this locking piece can't move on the shaft. You'll feel it. Just tighten them so that they're finger tight, and that's about all that's needed. Okay, so now we have that piece on the end. The next piece is the propeller, and the flat side goes towards the back, and you can see there's a notch in the side of the propeller there, so that is facing forward towards the head of the shaft. And then we have this other piece that locks the propeller in place, and we put that on the shaft, and it positions so that it locks the propeller in place. Once again, we get some more grub screws and lock that piece in place. Okay, so that's locked the propeller in place. And this locking piece can't move around on the drive shaft, which means that the propeller can't slide around on the drive shaft. It's locked in position. Then the next step is to put the drive shaft in the drive casing. As you can see, at the end of this casing there's a bearing, and there's also one at the other end. So now we have the drive shaft casing on the case, and as you can see it rotates very freely, and the bearings hold the shaft in place so it doesn't vibrate too much, but it rotates very easily with low friction. And then the next piece is this power joint, which has to join the drive shaft to the shaft on the motor. And what we want with this piece is half of it to be on the drive shaft and half of it to be on the motor shaft, like that. Okay? But we'll put it on the drive shaft first. Second. Okay, so we have half the drive shaft in the joint, and we just tighten it into position. Get a second grub screw. The grub screw should screw in quite easily. Yeah? If it becomes difficult, then you've probably got it cross-threaded and you need to pull it out and start again. Okay, so it's like that. You'll notice that it's a bit loose here. That's okay. This is the way we want it to be. We actually want a small gap at each end at the end, when we put this finally in the boat. Right? Anyway, so the last step is to put the motor on. Once again, we need some more grub screws. So let's get that set up first. Okay. Okay, so I got that grub screw in. And then there's one final grub screw. Sometimes it's easier to do it when it's sitting on a table. Like this. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, one final thing to notice here is if you look at the end of the motor on the power joint, there's actually a little gap there. That little gap's important because it minimises the friction. Because if it was up tight against the motor, then you would have friction between those two parts. So you need a little gap. Okay? And then that's it. That's the drivetrain all assembled. And you should have one spare grub screw. And the Allen key, of course.